All right, let's dive into something really fun today. UK street food.
Oh, yeah.
All those permits and regulations that you need to navigate.
Right.
You might be out there thinking about starting your own food truck,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe you're just curious about how those markets that you love going
Yeah,
to actually stay on the right side of the law.
for sure.
And, well, turns out
Yeah.
it's not as simple as just cooking up something tasty and setting up shop.
No, not at all.
We're going to be looking at a guide today called Do You Need a Permit to Sell Food on the Street in the UK?
Oh, okay.
And trust me, you'll be surprised by what we find.
I bet.
So you might think that it's just about the food, right?
Yeah, you would think that. But no, there are regulations for a reason, and they're in place to ensure that things are safe, hygienic, and fair for everybody.
Right off the bat, we encountered this thing called the street trading license.
Okay.
And it's like your golden ticket to be able to sell in those public spaces, streets,
Mhm.
and pavements. But here's the thing. Each local council sets its own fees for this.
Oh, wow.
We're talking a range from a modest £100 annually
Okay.
all the way to a pretty
Yeah.
hefty
Yeah.
£1,000 per year.
Big difference.
Why is such a difference?
Well, it's really all about location, location, location.
Yeah.
The fees often reflect how desirable an area is for street trading.
Uh-huh.
Councils want to manage things like congestion or noise,
Right.
or they even want to encourage vendors to go to some of the less popular spots.
Okay.
And of course, these fees help to cover the council's costs
Yeah.
for enforcing those regulations and just generally keeping things in order.
So you're telling me the location could really affect my bottom line,
It really could, yeah.
even before I've sold my first burger.
Absolutely.
It doesn't stop there.
No.
You also will probably need proof of identity
Yeah,
and food business registration as well.
that makes sense.
So it's all about accountability then,
It is.
making sure everybody's legitimate,
Yeah, and that everybody is who they say they are. Yeah.
operating legally.
Adds that layer of professionalism.
It does.
Okay, so we've talked about just general street trading.
Yeah.
What if you're thinking about those big events, those foodie havens,
Right.
festivals, fairs, pop-up markets?
Yeah, those are fun.
You've got the crowds, the
Mhm.
music, the
Yeah.
energy,
And
another permit,
another permit. That's right.
the temporary event notice,
Yeah.
or 10.
The 10.
So imagine you're serving up
Go.
gourmet grilled cheese at like a weekend-long music festival.
Oh, yeah.
That 10 is what allows you to do that.
It is, especially if you're planning on serving alcohol
Okay.
or staying open late.
Makes sense.
Cater to all those late night revelers.
Festivals are kind of a different beast altogether.
They are.
But 10 days.
10 working days.
10 working days. That
I-
seems a little close for comfort,
I can see why you'd say that.
especially if you're planning something big.
It is important to plan ahead.
But it's to make sure that the council has enough time to process it all,
Yeah.
coordinate with the other departments,
Right.
noise control, waste management, all of that.
Make sure everything runs smoothly.
Yep, for everybody involved.
So no last minute inspiration then.
Well, you can have the last minute inspiration,
Okay.
but get that application in early.
Got it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something that every food vendor in the UK needs.
Okay.
Food business registration.
Yes.
This one seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it does.
It's all about ensuring food safety, right?
Absolutely. Every food seller needs this.
Right.
It establishes that baseline of safety and accountability.
Okay.
Think of it as a promise to your customers
Yeah.
that you're serious about hygiene and following the rules.
How does that promise actually get checked?
Well, that's where the environmental health officer comes in.
Oh.
They will visit your setup, whether it's a commercial kitchen or a home base,
Uh-huh.
or even your food truck, and they'll be checking to make sure you're meeting all those important hygiene standards.
Makes me feel better as a customer, knowing that someone's keeping an eye on things.
It should.
The guide also really emphasizes taking a level 2 food hygiene and safety for catering course.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
So I can see why it shows that you're committed to doing things the right way,
Right.
even if it's not totally mandatory.
It shows you're taking it seriously,
Yeah.
and you understand the why behind the rules.
Okay.
Why is it so crucial to prevent cross-contamination?
Yeah.
Why do you need to keep food at certain temperatures?
Right.
The course just gives you that knowledge to run a safe and responsible business.
And it's only like, what, $10.25 online?
Yeah, something like that.
That's a pretty smart investment,
It is.
especially when you consider all the things that could go wrong
Exactly.
if you don't handle food properly.
Uh-huh.
Speaking of things going wrong,
Oh, yeah.
that brings us to another important part.
Yeah.
Public liability insurance. Imagine somebody gets sick after eating at your stall.
Oh, no.
This insurance will protect you,
Yes.
covering potential legal costs or compensation claims.
It will?
It's like a safety net for you and the customer.
For sure.
A lot of councils actually require proof of public liability insurance
They do.
as part of the street trading license application.
Yep.
It all ties back into that framework
It does.
of accountability.
Yeah, and ensuring that safe environment for everyone.
And it's not that expensive either, is it?
No. The monthly cost is pretty low.
Okay, so we've talked about the basics
Yeah.
for any aspiring street food vendor out there.
Mm.
But let's turn our attention now to the iconic symbol of street food,
All right.
food trucks.
Love them.
Surely there's a whole nother level of regulations for these mobile kitchens.
Oh, there is.
I mean, they're vehicles as well as businesses, right?
That's right.
On top of all the permits we talked about,
Yeah.
food truck owners also have to deal with vehicle registration and insurance to make sure that their truck is roadworthy
Yeah.
and safe to operate in public.
Exactly.
Then there's also the issue of parking permits.
Oh, yes, parking.
Can't forget about parking.
No.
Oh, I can just imagine the headache of finding a decent parking spot
Right.
in a busy city.
Yeah, especially during those peak hours.
And then what about waste management?
That's a good point.
If you're cooking on the go,
Yeah.
how do you handle all that waste responsibly?
Well, waste disposal is really a critical part of running any sustainable
Yeah.
and ethical business.
Okay.
Especially one in the street food business.
Yeah.
Some councils might even ask you to submit a waste disposal plan,
Oh, wow.
outlining how you are going to collect, separate, and dispose of your waste.
So you're not just chucking your trash in any old bin.
Definitely not.
There's a whole system
There is.
to minimize your impact on the environment.
Exactly.
Now, for those of you who want to tap into those late night crowds,
Oh, yeah.
the guide talks about a special license for all those after hours eats.
After hours eats. Oh, yeah.
Imagine,
Oh.
serving up some hot savory kebabs
Mhm.
or maybe steaming bowls of noodles to those hungry people that are wandering around after the pubs close.
It happens.
That's where the late night refreshment license comes in.
It is.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I could see why there would need to be special rules for that.
definitely.
So what kind of hours does this license usually cover?
Typically, it's the hours between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, catering to that post-midnight crowd, looking for a bite.
Okay, so we've explored the permits,
We have.
licenses, and the regulations.
Uh,
But what happens if somebody just decides to skip a step or two and operate under the radar?
don't do that.
Are there consequences for not following the rules?
Oh, yeah, big time.
What could happen?
Fines, big fines.
Okay.
We're talking 1,000 pounds or more.
Wow.
The council could seize your equipment or ingredients, and worst case scenario,
Yeah.
they could shut down your whole operation.
That's a lot to risk.
It is.
It's clear then that operating a street food business in the UK requires some careful planning
Definitely.
and a commitment to following the rules.
Uh-huh.
It's not something you can just jump into on a whim.
You've got to do your research.
Yeah.
Understand the regulations. Make sure you are prepared
Okay.
to handle all the responsibilities.
All right. So we've covered a lot of ground here today.
We have.
We've seen that there's way more to selling food on the streets of the UK
Yeah.
than you might think.
Then meets the eye.
So here's a question for you.
Okay.
Knowing all of this,
Yeah.
does the world of UK street food seem more daunting or more exciting?
That's a good question.
We'll be back in a moment to explore that question further
Yes.
and really delve deeper into the steps that you need to take
Okay.
to make your street food dreams a reality.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to our deep dive into UK street food. Before the break, we left you with a question. Does knowing the ins and outs of these regulations make street food seem more daunting or more exciting? What do you think?
I think it's a bit of both, honestly.
Yeah,
It's understandable if you feel a little overwhelmed
Okay.
by just how many permits and regulations there are.
for sure.
But I think once you understand the why behind them, it starts to feel a little bit less like an obstacle
Yeah.
and more like a roadmap to success.
Okay, I like that, a roadmap.
Yeah.
So where does an aspiring street food entrepreneur even begin with this roadmap?
Well, the guide really emphasizes that the first thing you got to do is contact your local council.
Okay, so go straight to the source.
Yeah, absolutely crucial.
Get that local insight.
Councils are your one-stop shop for everything.
Oh.
They can give you guidance on licensing, fees, those designated trading areas,
Right.
any local bylaws you need to be aware of.
Right, so no cutting corners. You've got to do it properly.
Exactly, yeah.
And remember that food business registration we talked about earlier?
Oh, yeah.
That's another step you'll need to take care of pretty early on.
It's mandatory for everyone, remember?
Right, right.
It's all about laying the groundwork for food safety and hygiene in your operation.
Okay, so let's make sure that those delicious street food creations are as safe as they are tasty.
That's the goal.
And once you've got those permits and registrations sorted,
Yeah.
it's time to start thinking about, well, the fun stuff.
The fun stuff, all right?
Choosing your location.
Ah, yes, this is where it gets strategic.
Okay.
Location, location, location. It can really make or break a business.
Yeah, for sure.
You need to think about foot traffic, visibility,
Mm-hmm.
how close you are to events and attractions,
Right?
even the competition in the area.
It's like finding the perfect fishing spot, right?
It is. You need to be where the hungry people are.
Exactly.
You want to cast your net where the fish are biting.
Yeah, so I imagine some locations are going to be more desirable than others,
Oh, absolutely.
leading to a little competition for those prime spots.
Yeah, some councils have waiting lists
Right.
or lottery systems to allocate the spots fairly.
Okay.
So research is key.
Yeah.
You got to be prepared to get a little bit creative with your choices.
So you might not always get your first choice,
You might not know.
but a little flexibility and a bit of ingenuity can go a long way.
It can.
Once you've secured your spot, it's time to think about your menu,
The menu.
that all-important menu.
This is where your culinary vision comes to life.
Right.
What are you passionate about?
Yeah.
What unique flavors can you bring to the table?
And I imagine the street food scene is pretty diverse.
Oh, it's incredibly diverse.
Yeah.
You've got cuisines from all over the world.
So it must be tough to stand out from the crowd.
It is a competitive market,
Yeah.
but that's also what makes it so exciting.
Okay.
You've got the opportunity to carve out your own little niche.
Right.
Maybe you're specializing in a particular cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're perfecting that signature dish. Okay. Or maybe you're just putting a new spin on an old classic.
Right. And let's not forget about the power of presentation,
Oh, absolutely.
especially in this age of Instagram and food blogs.
Visual appeal is so important.
Yeah.
You want those mouth-watering pictures.
So invest in some attractive packaging.
For sure.
Think about how you present your food.
It all adds up.
Yeah, it's like creating a little culinary masterpiece.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the permits, the location, the menu.
Yeah.
What about the day-to-day realities of actually running a street food business?
Right? Well, you've got to be prepared for anything.
Okay.
For starters, there's the British weather.
Oh,
Come rain or shine, you got to be ready to serve your customers.
okay.
A sturdy gazebo or an awning is a must.
Yeah.
And you might even want to think about a backup indoor location.
Right, you can't tell your customers to just come back when the sun's out.
No, you can't.
What about things like inventory and storage,
Oh, that's another one.
especially when you're dealing with fresh ingredients?
You need to strike that balance,
Yeah.
Having enough to meet demand, but also not having too much waste.
Right.
It takes careful planning,
Right.
Maybe build some relationships with local suppliers.
Right, who can deliver fresh stuff on short notice.
Exactly.
And we can't forget about waste management,
No, can't forget about that.
especially in those busy urban areas.
Responsible disposal is not just about ticking a box.
Right.
It's about being a good neighbor,
Right.
minimizing your impact.
Taking pride in your operation, doing things the right way,
It is, even when nobody's watching.
even when nobody's watching.
Exactly.
And let's be honest, running a street food business isn't just about the food, is it?
No, it's about people, too.
Yeah.
They're interacting with customers all day long,
Yeah, for sure.
taking orders, answering questions,
Yeah.
creating that positive atmosphere.
It's a performance in itself.
It is. You need good customer service skills.
And you're not just dealing with customers either, are you?
No, you've got other vendors.
Right.
You're sharing space.
It's like a little village almost.
It is. It's a community.
We're all in it together,
Exactly. Supporting each other, sharing tips.
creating that positive, collaborative environment.
Yeah, that's the key.
So we've talked about the practical stuff, the challenges, the logistics.
Yeah.
But let's take a step back for a second and appreciate what street food means in the UK.
It's more than just grabbing a bite.
Okay.
It's a reflection of this country's multicultural heritage.
Right.
It's a celebration of all these different food cultures.
Right.
And it's a testament to the entrepreneurial spirit of the people.
It really is like a microcosm of society.
It is condensed into those little squares and streets.
You find food from all over the world.
You do. You can find anything.
It's a culinary adventure.
And it's always evolving and adapting to new things.
Absolutely. So as we head into the final part of our deep dive,
Right.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what the future holds for UK street food.
Okay.
Where do you see this trend going?
I think the future's bright. I really do.
Okay.
It's become more than just a trend.
Yeah.
It's a way of life now.
Yeah, I think you're right.
People are looking for authentic, diverse, and affordable food.
And with things like social media and the focus on sustainability and local produce,
Yeah,
I think we're going to see even more innovation and creativity
I agree.
in the coming years.
Yeah, more experimentation, new flavors, new collaborations.
It's an exciting time
It is.
to be a part of this evolving food scene.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
let's leave our listener with another thought-provoking question to consider.
Okay.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into UK street food. We've covered so much ground, from permits and regulations to the challenges and the amazing potential. But now, let's go back to that question we asked you earlier. Knowing all of this, does the world of UK street food seem more daunting or more exciting?
It's funny, isn't it? That question really gets to the heart of what makes street food so fascinating. On one hand, yeah, you've got all those regulations, the logistics, the competition. It's a lot.
It can be, for
It
sure.
can feel like a mountain to climb sometimes. But then you think about the energy, the freedom to create something really special, connecting with people through your food. It's hard not to see it as an adventure.
Yeah, it's like walking a tightrope, right?
A little bit, yeah.
You need to balance so many things.
You do.
The passion, the practicality, the creativity, and making sure you're following all the rules.
Absolutely.
But the rewards are huge, wouldn't you say?
Oh, they are.
Both for you personally and professionally.
For sure.
And let's not forget the cultural impact too.
Oh,
No street food, it's more than just a business.
right? It's a reflection of who we are, a mix of all these amazing flavors and traditions. It brings people together.
Yeah.
It's part of what makes our cities and towns so unique.
Our guide focused on the UK, but I'm thinking, do these same things apply elsewhere?
Ooh, good question.
Are those challenges and rewards kind of universal when it comes to street food?
I think so, yeah. While those specific rules might differ from country to country,
Right.
the core principles, they stay the same.
Makes you realize that street food is more than just food.
It is.
It's this global thing, a language that everybody understands.
Absolutely. It breaks down barriers.
Yeah, and it keeps changing too, right?
Always adapting to new trends, new flavors, finding new ways to connect with people.
And that's what makes it so exciting.
It is.
There's always something new to discover.
Absolutely. Always something to learn.
All right, so to our listener out there who might be listening to all of this
Yeah.
and thinking about taking the leap
Mm-hmm.
into the world of street food,
Yeah.
weighing the risks and the rewards,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say? Is it worth it?
If you are truly passionate about food, willing to put the work in,
Yeah.
and you've got that entrepreneurial spirit, I'd say absolutely go for it.
Okay.
It won't be easy. You'll face challenges, make mistakes along the way,
Yeah.
but you'll get to create something special, your own business,
Yeah.
connect with your community, be a part of that street food scene.
And who knows, maybe someday we'll be trying your delicious creations
Yeah,
at a market somewhere.
that'd be great.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into UK street food.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Hopefully you've learned some things
Uh-huh.
and maybe even got a little bit inspired.
Yeah, get out there and follow your dreams.
Until next time, happy eating.
Happy eating!